Hey, beautiful. Welcome to Safe Space with Stacy, the podcast where women come together to heal, laugh, and thrive. I'm your host, Coach Stacy, your self-healing coach and certified hypnotist, dedicated to creating spaces where women can reclaim their authenticity, break free from trauma, and flourish in sisterhood. Each week, I'll be sharing powerful stories, healing practices, and conversations that remind you that you're not alone. Whether you're on your healing journey or simply looking for connection and support, this is your safe space. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's episode. Hello, my loves. Today we have an OG that is blessing us with her presence. I'm so excited to welcome back Chelsea. She is known online by Learn with Chelsea, and I have actually been a student of Chelsea since 2020 when I first invested into one of her products. And then I continued to invest into all of the digital products that she puts out because she is literally a money magnet and she knows how to get this money, honey. Okay. In our previous episode, she shared the traumatic experiences she went through before getting to her success, but it was basically the thing that catapulted her to making sure that she is a wealthy woman that can take care of her family, even if need be to do it on her own. So she's going to update with you with her healing journey in the past 2 years. And I'm so excited for her to share what's been going on in her world so that you guys can get caught up with her. And I'm so excited for what's to come for us in the future. So let's get into today's episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special episode of Safe Space with Stacy podcast. I have a woman on here that has been such a force to be reckoned with and such a beautiful mentor of mine. Not only mentor, but also friend. She is one of the most humble people that I've ever met, and she's also one of the richest. But I've been able to see her journey and she stayed humble the entire time. She is an OG to the podcast. So you will, if you haven't already, go ahead and go listen to her first episode. She's going to catch us up on what's been going on in her world. But welcome, Chelsea, Miss Honeygold herself to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, babe. Thank you for having me. I'm so proud of you for launching this amazing platform. And as always, it's an honor to even be considered to speak to your audience. I know we always touch on such profound, deep things. And I don't know, a safe space is just very fitting for what you provide to our community. You're always so nurturing, loving, soothing, and you put so much positivity out there. So I'm not surprised that you did this, and I'm just grateful to be a part of it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for seeing me. I got goosebumps with you saying that.
Yes, I love it, girl. I
All
love
right.
it.
So the last time that we got on here, it was January of 2022. That's darn near 3 years ago. I know that it was the beginning of your millionaire journey
It
and
was.
life was going well.
It
Tell us,
was.
what has happened since January 2022? And
Oh my
what kind of
God.
things have you done to grow along there? Because you still thriving. You still that bitch. I'm good.
Girl, it has been a miraculous journey that I couldn't have predicted in a million years, to be honest. Some days I still feel like I'm trying to catch my breath from just all of the turns and flips that I've gone through in a pretty short period of time. But we spoke in January 2022. that year, at the end of that year, December 2022, I actually ended my 7 year relationship and 2 year engagement to the father of my kids, which was very unexpected, very unforeseen, just came out of nowhere, is what it feels like. Even though in hindsight, I can see that it was building up. And I think what attributed to that build up more than anything, because it wasn't necessarily a toxic buildup. I think it was just a clarity, a buildup of more and more healing on my part and more clarity on my part. And it's just so true what they say, like, sometimes the people you start with are not the people that you end with, especially when you're on this journey of healing and self-love and empowerment and educating yourself and just putting the work in to develop yourself as much as possible. You realize that it becomes a normal part of the process to shed the weight of the people who no longer serve you as you refine yourself. And so that realization took a long time, I would say, for it to really reveal itself in a way that I was able to comprehend what was happening and realizing, wow, the truth is I cannot continue the way that I have been. And if I do continue on the path that I have been, I will not actually fully reach my true purpose, my true destiny. And that was the most devastating part of my healing journey. Just realizing that everybody can't come and that certain parts of me were going to have to die and be left in just my story is where they would remain living and thriving in my story, but not so much my reality. And I think that has been the most profound walk away, takeaway that I'll probably ever experience in my life. I don't know. I know we're always growing and evolving. I'm sure I'll learn many more lessons before I go, but that's the one that I think so far to date has been the most freeing, is just realizing the shedding isn't always a negative thing. You're not losing people necessarily. Sometimes those people just are not meant to be at that next journey and level of your journey. And so, yeah, I'm now a single mom by choice. And I think until you are forced to make that type of choice, you don't even really understand what that means. Like, to be a single mom and to be a single mom by choice, to be in that category at all, you don't really understand. We always see such a negative connotation, oh, baby mama, single, da, 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 assuming that they just did something irresponsible or wrong that got them to be there. They chose wrong, they did wrong, they were irresponsible, they had the wrong partner. But it's whether all of those things are true or not doesn't take away from this being one hell of a responsibility, one hell of a job. And you can go your whole life doing everything as perfect as possible, get married first, not get married first, let him be your best friend first, let him know him for 2 weeks and get married and elope. There is no preparation that comes with certain things in life. You can try and make it all perfect, and you can do it all perfectly, whatever, and it can still turn out you could get married, your man pass away at the wedding, an hour after the wedding. We don't know what lies ahead. So I've just learned to be very resilient, roll with the punches, and just know that God got me. God is leading the way. And then as long as I put my best foot forward and continue to show up for myself, he will continue to light the path for me. And so, yeah, I'm a single mom by choice. Learning to adapt to this new life has been such a challenge, totally newfound respect. Like I said, for single moms, you never realize how many chose themselves because they actually do love themselves. We always look at the broken baby mom, the broken single woman, and she's, what's that word, like bitter. And but it's no, how about the empowered, the one that loved herself enough to say, you know what, even if I have to do this shit alone, broke, tired, exhausted, ugly, sick, whatever, I'm going to do it with a smile on my face because I'm not going to let you play in my face, or because I'm not going to let my kids see you play with me, or I'm not going to tolerate your disrespect, your abuse, your financial abuse, whatever it is. There's so much more power in that, in my opinion, than sticking with something just because of the look or the aesthetic of what you thought it was or could have been or whatever the case. I just learned that I'm just learning to adjust. Every day is a new challenge, a new realization, having to learn how to juggle heartbreak and the realization of your world crumbling in front of you, everything that you've built and spent years and years investing time, effort, energy into is a failure. It feels very much like a failure, especially when you've built a public brand, a personal brand around something that emulated such positivity, such love, such genuine feelings and all of that, and it's now crumbling right in front of you. That took a level of humility that I didn't even know how. I felt so torn between what is safe to share. Like, I am a reflection of my audience. I embody everything that my audience goes through. And yet I'm dealing with something behind closed doors that, if I do speak on, makes me appear very disloyal to this person in a way. And then at the same time, it's wow, once you open up that gate and let that in, it's wow, it's all out there now. Everybody can judge and hear and see and say. And it was just such a thing, and it was so hard for me. But I'm like, wow, the same platform I've used to bring light to these things, it wouldn't be true and authentic for me to just sweep it all under the rug and have people thinking that. I wanted them to understand that I am a true example of everything I represent and everything I stand for, even behind closed doors. And the minute it started to feel as if I wasn't being true to my brand is when I really realized, like, I have to cut this shit short, because there's no way I'm going to sit here and live one way and come on here, turn this camera on, and come across like I'm got it all figured out when behind closed doors shit ain't right. It just, the math wasn't mathing anymore. And once I realized that I had subconsciously walked into one of my patterns, once I realized
Let's
that,
talk about patterns.
yeah, pattern. Once I was able to really heal enough to be able to identify that we do go through these patterns naturally, we create and recreate the same pattern until we've healed and until we've exposed that layer of what's causing it. Until you are there, you don't even realize you're doing it repetitiously. You don't even realize it. You just keep, oh, why does life always do this? Why? Oh, it's always me. And yeah, it is always. Notice that, always, because there's stuff that you're doing to continue on the same cycle. Always. And until you recognize it and make the necessary changes, you will keep attracting the same exact type of people, behavior, whatever. And so it was through that awakening moment where I realized, like, oh my God, I've been here before. This is so familiar, like almost deja vu-ish. And I'm like, wow, 7 years in, it's really hitting me in the face that, like, oh my God, I'm here. I'm doing this. And I'm so grateful, because growing up, my mom used to always tell me, like, journal, you're such a good writer, journal, you're so expressive. But sometimes when you speak, you're so passionate that you get caught up in your emotions of it all. And the words that you want to say get lost in translation type thing, and maybe take a different route. And then you're on a different tangent when you really just meant to focus on this. So she always got me into writing. And on my 35th birthday, I wanted to do something for my audience that I hadn't done before. And I decided I was going to open up and create a memoir. And in that memoir, I wanted to account for the 35 or so things that I had gone through, revelations or experiences in my life that had attributed directly to me becoming a millionaire. And me writing those excerpts, it was literally me reflecting on every year. I try to do one for every year that of my 35 years that I was conscious, obviously, at birth. So I started as 10, as far as back as I could remember. But once I got to a certain, in my 20s, it started forcing me to relive some of the same decisions. And I'm writing these things, I'm doing voice notes, and I'm literally going back to my 25-year-old self 10 years prior to making this memoir. And I'm like, oh, when I went back to 25 and I was literally recounting my abusive, my toxic relationship. And yes, it was a physically toxic relationship, which is why it disguised itself to me and it felt so different. But as I wrote out and revealed and just pulled back the layers of how that toxic, abusive relationship fueled me to becoming a millionaire, it started to become so reminiscent of the same survival mode that I felt even as a millionaire in the relationship that I was in. And as I'm writing and as I'm speaking, I'm just like, I was in two completely different financial standpoints in my life. When I was that person, I was broke, getting beat up. Now I'm successful and I'm being beat up in a different way. My heart still feels very triggered the same way it felt when I was writing and remembering. And I'm like, where's the similarity? Oh, they're both Leos, or their birthday's a day apart. Da, da, da. And I'm like, no, it's got to be like, this isn't no cutesy surface shit. This is like real deep. There's a real pattern here. There's something like real deep right here. And once I really thought about it, I'm like, yo, I'm literally walking into the exact same thing and I created it for myself. Like I literally recreated it 10 years later. And it took that moment, me recreating those moments in that memoir, to have that mirror right in front of me and being like, look, you're still that broken. There's that broken part of you that we actually need to fix. And in that moment, I realized like I could not proceed with this relationship because it was indeed a pattern of self-destruction that I had to be willing to cut my finger to save my whole arm. And that's been the pattern and repetition in my life, is just constantly trying to build and put other people and other people's brokenness at the forefront of my life so that I could feel more meaningful, more powerful, more in control. I don't know, but whatever it was brought in a layer of toxicity, a layer of pain, a layer of trying to heal a person who never asked to be healed. And once I realized that, I was just like, this is why it's so challenging. This is why every day is so tumultuous. This is why we're arguing, not because he's a bad person, but because once again, I signed up for an assignment that nobody asked me to sign up for but me. I walked into it and I damn near owned it. I said, no, I'm going to be your girlfriend. Like, you're straight home from prison. I got you. We're going to build this life together. I got you. Same as I did to the other guy. Oh, you just got shot in the leg. You can't walk. Oh my God, you just lost your cousin to a murder. Ah, I'll save you. What the fuck? What the fuck? Like, how
It
bad?
happens.
How bad? What the worst of the worst is the one that signed me up for the worst of the worst. I got it. That's me. The biggest project. Oh, I want the hardest one. I want the most recognition for saving the day. I don't know what it is. Like Captain Save a dumbass.
I know what you mean completely.
You feel so crazy after.
I call it being Captain Save a Hoe. Like, I'm done with being Captain Save a Hoe. I'm not trying to save no hoe no more. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're out
Exactly.
cheating and everything like that. It's just this person needs the healing, but they need to decide that they're going to get the healing. And I can't force it upon them. I can't force them to go through what they need to go through in order for them to,
So yeah,
they have to want it themselves.
yeah.
Find the way.
Growth is it's an internal journey, and you have to want to grow. You have to want to evolve and pay attention to those patterns and not miss those important signs. It's very convenient and very ignorance loves bliss. You know what I mean? Like, it's very easy to just navigate life and oh, that happened to me. I'm a victim. But it's like when you really sit there and try to like comb through these things and understand, like, why do these things keep finding me? Is it the universe? Is God just dragging me through it? Or is it because I'm continuously walking into fire? And you got to get to the core of that. And so that's what I've spent the past, since December 2022, all 2023, up until now, just trying to redefine myself, refine myself. What Chelsea without, not without the family, it's different being an engaged Chelsea versus being a single mother to two toddlers, Chelsea, and uncovering what that actually looks like to no longer be a fiance and no longer have someone to make these tough decisions with and navigate life with. It is a very challenging reality when you've had your ride or die, your rock by your side for 7 years. You don't realize how, as a woman, how safe and comfortable you felt, how protected, how nurtured, and whatever. And to not have that, you feel very raw, very exposed, very in danger all the time, very just like open and out there. And women don't really talk about that enough. And I know we don't want to shed negative light and we always want to be empowered and but it's not having those real conversations makes it harder when you're going through it. You feel like you're supposed to be able to bounce back and you're supposed to feel a certain way. And it's no, I'm breaking the fuck down. Like, I'm breaking down, lost my best friend, lost the father of my kids, lost everything, and still have to put on a smile and still have to. And I realized I don't have to put on a smile. I realized I am human, but as a personal brand and someone who is so invested in her brand, it became such a challenge to have to show up and connect with my audience the way that I always knew how. I built my brand on the love I had for my family. And not that changed, but the story behind it changed. And my brand story was what I was recognized by. People knew me for, oh, you and him, oh, you and her. Like they knew our story. They fell in love with our story. So that was a part of my journey that I had to really redefine who I was and what my value to this earth was. And I felt very lost for months and months and months. It was very hard to show up and feel authentic. And I didn't realize how often when I communicated, it was always the core of everything I spoke about was my family. And my driving factor was to protect my fiance at the time. So to come live and that camera turn on and just all of a sudden it was just like, I don't know what to say anymore. I lost everything that I did this for, and I don't know how to make it a cutesy thing, or not even a cutesy thing, but what is there to really talk about? Like, it's gone, it's done, it's broken. Like, it just became, what are we doing here? Like, why do I want to be live right now? I'm healing, I'm trying to figure this shit out. And it just, I didn't want to rub off in a negative way to the internet or to my followers. And there's people were all already going through so much. So it just felt like, why? I don't want to be on here dumping. So I really had to make that decision to just fall back and use my time to heal, use my time to get close to friends, people who I felt safe with and who supported me through endless nights of repeating myself a trillion times, the same stories, the same recounting of, yeah, but should I have said this? Should I have said that? Oh, he came in this. Just the rep it over. I had friends that literally let me tell the same stories and say the same things 5,000 times, picked up for me every time, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Like I just leaned on what was available to me and I had to get through it because I knew that my audience was depending on me. My business was depending on me. I'm responsible for so many things that help so many people that I realized I can't let this hinder me long term. I have to use this as fuel. I have to be accountable, learn from my mistakes, but I also have to find the silver lining in all of this. And once again, it boils down to women can never get too comfortable. And so the same driving force that I had that made me want to start becoming an entrepreneur because I was being physically abused and financially abused, that same reality when I was 27 now is my reality at 36. As a single mom of two, I'm still out here. Listen, ladies, me having my own money is what allowed me to say, you know what? Here's your ultimatum. If you're not going to play ball, I'm going to collect what's mine and I'm going to be done and be able to stand on it. And that's just a different, and that's where things changed 10 years prior, is that I had made that decision. I was getting beat up. I was ready to be done. And when shit hit the fan, my financial resources said, skirt, you ain't going nowhere. You could handle a few more thrashings to make sure that you have a roof over your head, to make sure you can eat tonight, to make sure you can use your car tomorrow and get to work. I rationalized my treatment because I needed a paycheck. I needed my money because he was holding my money from me. And so 10 years later now, I didn't want to end things with my kid's dad. I didn't want to be a single mom. I didn't want to have to do this life by myself. But because I had the financial resources, I gave my warnings. And when I was done, I was able to stand on business and it felt different. It hurt, it still hurt the same, but thank God I was able to get a brand new house. Thank God I was able to dump 50K into it the same week we moved in to get it fully furnished because the way we ended, it was so bad that our whole lives flipped upside down. And without the resources financially, my kids would have beyond felt it. I had to scramble to get them enrolled into a private school within the month, like new house, new school, new everything. And without the resources, I just think, oh my God, I had to hire a chef, a nanny, a housekeeper, all within the same week. It's like new everything. And it's, yeah, I quickly replaced that as much as I could replace it. I replaced it because I knew that along with the emotional burden, I could not handle letting my dishes get out of whack. I could not handle not eating and preparing healthy meals for my kids. I would have gotten depressed, sick, skinny, not wanting to show up even more. So I'm like, what is going to help me do my job is not having to worry about laundry on top of everything piling up and the bills piling up and the furniture being delivered. I need to be able to outsource as much as possible so I can heal my heart and know that money can still come in, and I can just focus on me and my baby's healing right now. And I'm so thankful, because without my business, I promise, like, my kids would probably have to be in therapy right now. You know what I mean? Because it was just too much of a complete shift. They lost their grandma, like everything, our whole lives flipped upside down, all within a few months. And thank God. And again, it counts as reinforcement to me of like why it's so important, whether you're engaged, single, married, fiance, whatever, always just make sure you are investing into yourself and learning so that you have what you need in case there's ever a death in the family, pivot at work, you lose your job, or your man, whatever, natural causes, not like life happens. So that's the journey that it's been for the past couple years now. This December makes what, 2 years? Oh my God. Time flies. Learning to adjust to motherhood, single motherhood has been the hardest thing, because starting out, I took so much pride in doing it with my best friend and having him there from birth, both kids, just such a hands-on, active parent, to now navigating co-parenting and just like the highs and the lows that come with all of that. It's just so heartbreaking to see how something that started so beautifully can end so, not even tragically, but just so abruptly. That's a huge, hard takeaway still for me. But it is what it is. Life is beautiful. We get one, and we all deserve to be happy. And I just am grateful that I was able to stand on business and love myself enough, because the first time around I didn't. And it almost cost me my life. It cost me all my finances. It cost me my credit, my finances, my self-respect. It cost me fucking everything the first time around. So this time around, I'm grateful I was able to recognize it, even though it was disguised. I don't think it didn't get revealed for 7 years, but once I was able to really uncover the familiarity that was underneath it all, why I was so comfortable wasn't because it was the best thing. I was comfortable. It was familiar because of a bad thing. So once I realized it, I was like, oh my fucking goodness, I've been here before, like right here. I've been here. And you guys, like, I'm reading in the, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. Like, it was like a huge moment. And I was like, man, I should have been writing my thoughts and my feelings, like my mom said, because I probably would have realized the familiarity and just accounting for the experience. You block so much out, especially with trauma. You block it out. You don't even associate it the same way. And sometimes when you listen to old videos or you read old things, you're like, oh my God, it pulls out that same emotion and you feel it all over again. And you're like, oh my God, I remember this feeling. So you got to be in tune with your body and your mind and your heart, your anxiety. Like you got to be really in tune and be able to like listen to those like little flare ups that you have, like your intuition. We block those things out so often without even realizing
For a
it.
relationship, absolutely. A lot of us just ignore it for the most part, and get caught up and just
Yeah.
completely push away the red flags. But I want to first say I applaud you for
Thank
choosing yourself first. You you show resilience in yourself by actually sharing with the world. Look, this happened to me. Like it happened to me, but I'm still going to make it. And I want you to do the same. So I know all of your followers are like, if she can do it, I can do it. That's
you.
one. So I applaud you. I'm proud of you. I'm thankful that you chose yourself first and stepped away, no matter how hard it was. Because I know it's going to be worth it all in the end. That's one. And I got your memoir. That thing is intense. And
Ah, my
I
God,
I
thanks,
did
babe.
get it, and it was so beautiful. I think I listened to it all in one day, more than likely, and or one night. And it was just like, even though I did the podcast interview with you already, like that memoir got really intense and real detailed. And I was just like, thank you, Jesus, that she did step away from that from the first time, because if you would have never stepped away from that, I would have never been able to meet you. You would have been able never been able to influence the, I'm sure it's millions of people now that you're influencing and encouraging and being that almost leader, that forefront person, that almost like captain of the ship. I went through all of this with my son, kid's father, and I also survived it. And I know that you can too. But let's also make this money, because I know you, I always call you the money magnet.
Here,
um,
you gotta be.
period. And then I love the fact that you made changes in your life so that this ending, you could truly just choose yourself and not have the paycheck or the dollar or the money take you away from choosing yourself and doing it in a safe manner. Because sometimes leaving these relationships, you're not always in that. This is
well.
the reason why, which is going to be tagged in this. I created it's called the plan, but I didn't want to call it the escape plan just in case somebody is in a relationship and they're trying to escape. It's a very short PDF. It's called the plan, and it's the escape plan to get out of any unhealthy or toxic
I love that.
relationship. And
I
so at
love that.
the beginning of it, I please people go download it because some people aren't even aware that they're in an abusive or toxic relationship. And so at the very
100%.
beginning, I list about 20 things that shows what it is, the traits of like an abuser or a toxic person. And then after, the escape plan is basically, I love acronyms. And so it's the acronym for escape. And it's basically just the steps that you need to take in order to get out of the situation that you're in safely. And then the very last page is going to have every single hotline that you need, just in case you have no friends to support you. So the domestic violence hotline, sexual assault hotline, child abuse hotline, all of those are at the end of that PDF. So if you're going through anything right now and you don't feel safe, you feel like you're walking on eggshells, that you're not happy, you can't be your true self, download the escape plan. And if you need any kind of help, please reach out to somebody. You can find the link to download the plan in the show notes. That's the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about. In your healing journey, you already mentioned like you had a community of friends that you could rely on, that you could go to and that you can share your story with, and they would just listen and be there for you. That's one thing that I truly promote whenever you are escaping, because I've escaped twice. Like when I met you, Chelsea, I was in a relationship with somebody not necessarily fresh out of prison, but he was a felon too. And so I wanted to build our business because he was a chef. And so I was doing retreats and I was bringing him along to cook the food. But then he hit the deep end because he couldn't hear any of the stories that I was sharing about my past, my exes. And so then he started falling off completely and just wanted attention. And so I had to leave that 5 year relationship after moving to Florida with him. And so I can completely understand where you're coming from when it comes to you have to start all over again. And then on top of feeling safe, like even today, I was driving and I was like, what happens if I get a flat tire? I wouldn't know what the fuck to do. Do I even have anybody to call? All I have to hire somebody to make sure that I am protected, to make sure that I am safe, because those are some of the things that I don't know how to do. That if I had a partner, I'm sure that partner would be able to do it. So it's a total kind of like revamping of yourself whenever you choose yourself. But I promise you on everything in love that it is worth it in the end. So what are the other things that you did in order to help heal yourself? It sounded like you did a little bit of grieving. You took a little bit of time for yourself. You definitely went to your friends. But what are some other things that helped you heal in this process?
I would definitely say just silencing out the noise and just getting quiet and being still and just learning to be okay with being alone. As much as I leveraged and leaned on the people that were available to me, I also just appreciated just having a silent moment, honestly. Having a solid, like the solitude that I was able to create. For a while, there was no structure, and the kids were with me I wasn't able to really grieve and have that time for just me to process. It was just constant chaos, questions, figuring out solutions, this, that. Like it was pinpoint, like it didn't slow down. Nothing slowed down. It was just like more demanding, more needs, and more production required from me at a time where I was literally breaking down. So as much as I could lean on people who would be like, I'll take the kids out to lunch. I'll take the kids overnight. Like, I'll stay over so that you could just lock yourself in the room, like to take a shower. I'll bring over some food, leaning on those in my community and asking for help, calling my mom and saying, Mom, I need you to come watch these kids for 7 days, a whole week. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm going to be in my room. I just need to be able to think and plan out my next steps. I literally felt like I was suffocating half the time and I just couldn't come up for air. And I just needed to have a second to just process what just happened to my life. So just being able to be still and ask and talk to God and be quiet long enough to listen and hear what I needed to hear from my own heart and soul and desires, and just being willing to able to navigate what those were was so critical so that I could come up with a plan eventually of how to move forward without that downtime at all. And I don't know if I would have ever been able to come up with that first plan of action, because it's just a whirlwind. When you're losing everything, you just feel like you're in a vacuum bag, like a tornado. It's just, you have to find your footing. Let me just get a grip really quick. And it took months. It took, honestly, up until like earlier this year for me to just, I would just feel out of breath all the time. Like, even just, I just felt like I was trying to just gasp and catch my breath because life was so unrecognizable that I just felt like it was moving so fast. I didn't recognize this new life. I didn't recognize this house without a man in it. I didn't recognize motherhood without a partner. I didn't recognize dinner without the head at the table. I didn't recognize anything. Like, it was just like, who am I and who is this? What is this? So yeah, just leaning on those who were able to be a resource to me, learning to just silence out the noise and just be still, and giving myself grace to realize that I had just endured a huge blow to the gut, and that, okay, this may not be the type of year that you're used to. This may require a little bit of humbling, a little bit of redirection, a little bit of just chill and let's just survive this one. Like, it just may not be your biggest year in business. It may not be that. And I had to learn to be okay with that, because the minute I got over like the grieving and the pity, not pity party, but like the sadness of it all, it was like, okay, go get back to work. What do you mean? Like, we're behind. Da-da-da. And I had to shake that shit quick, because I'm like, nah, like, I can't. I don't have the capacity to show up with that same fire and vengeance that I always had, because now it's mixed with a little bit of anger. Now it's mixed with a little bit of resentment. It's mixed with a little bit of animosity. I was too raw still, and I didn't want to confuse my audience. I was struggling to have conversations about my goal and my mission without throwing in a few daggers, a few this, a few that. I didn't know how to be real and raw and uncut, but then filtered and professional and a good mom and classy and loyal. I'm like, I'm fucking bleeding. I'm pouring out blood everywhere, and I have to still sit here and act like I'm this classy, perfect woman. And I didn't know how to do that. So just giving myself grace to be like, you know what, Chelsea, if you don't break records this year, if you're not if you're not as booked and busy this year, it's all right. If you're not able to accept every engagement, and if you're not able to go live 3 times a day because you cried 3 times a day and now your face is swollen, it is okay. I had to learn to take all the advice that I was spitting out to my art, the go, fuck everything, go, put it behind you, stop. I had to just be like, that's not authentic for me right now. It's
It's
not me.
so amazing how when we go through something and we heal, we work on ourselves and we process, how things completely change. And I want everybody to know that it's totally okay to be a different person. When you come off of this podcast, it's okay if you're a different person. Like, for example, I remember when I was first coaching, I was telling everybody, my favorite button is block and delete. Okay. I block and delete anybody who makes me feel uneasy, who gives me that. But now I realize that it was actually a defense mechanism. I didn't want to process whatever that person was triggering me. So I just decided to block and delete. So
Mm-hmm.
now in this new version of Coach Stacy, I am like, you know what? I'm going to have an adult conversation. I'm going to
Yeah, I
tell the
like that.
person, let you made me feel some type of way, or I feel something about something. So let's talk about it. And that
Hmm.
actually made me a better person and a better friend and just a better human all the way together because it's like, all right, I'm going to be an adult and I'm not just going to brush somebody away and give them do cold turkey and ghost them. I'm
Exactly.
just going to talk about it. We're going to get through this. But it's amazing how when you do go through something and then you are processing and you've seen those triggers, you're seeing those patterns, and you're like, you know what? I don't want to go back to that. But like you
Mm.
said earlier, you have to kill off the old you in order for you to get to the next level that you want to be at.
And
So
that's the part that, oh, that's the make or break you part. And most people, I feel, either drag it out for years and years because of fear of the unknown, or they just revert to being like, you know what, F it. I'd rather just commit to this shit instead of the unknown again. And so you either don't leave it all or you stay in it for years more. And then you realize when you're finally ready, you're like, OMG, I should have left the first time, or I should have left years ago. And now I just prolonged the whole process. And I also lost 10 years of my life, or 5 years, or 20 years, or whatever. So yeah, once I recognized it this time, I just had to tell myself, I will not be a victim again. I will not repeat what I did the first time and drag it out. When I had this epiphany, the first time I dragged it out, I made excuses. I literally made excuses. I justified it. I covered it up. I lied about it. I did everything I could to act like it wasn't the case, knowing damn well, girl, if I would just come to terms with it and recognize I could have been on the first thing smoking quicker, but I just wanted it to work so bad. I wanted to prove to myself that it wasn't what it looked like it was. And I don't know. So lots of time wasted. But the minute I recognized it and really was like, oh, MG, this is a pattern. This is familiar. This is the same. This is the same, but different, but the same. I was like, I can't give this another minute of my life. And of course, you can't just choose to walk out on a whole family. And it took real thought and making sure that I wasn't losing my mind. This is a huge decision, a huge epiphany moment. But once I had that moment, I literally just looked up like it all made sense. Oh my God, all of the resistance, all of the fighting, all of the resistance. That's the only word. It's resistance. When it's constant friction, you have to look into that. It's if you're a rational, reasonable person that you're right within and you're right with God to whatever extent you are. If you sleep good at night and you're putting out peace and good, and the people around you, the things around you feel so heavy and resistant and difficult and conflicted, and it's not you, and you in the inside you're like, would I change anything about me? Is there something about, if you're like, no, this is, then obviously the motherfucker you dealing with is bringing the smoke and bringing the resistance. And half the time, if you really look at them and ask yourself those same questions about them, would you change something about them and their character? Would changing a couple things about them make this go smoother, less resistant to get the result that you actually want? If the answer is yes, then yes, that resistance needs to be eliminated. That's just what it is. And coming to that epiphany moment is the most heartbreaking thing a lot of times you'll uncover, because sometimes it's a family member, sometimes it's a sister, a mother. Like sometimes the people that you keep the closest around you, for their own, it's not that they don't love you, but for their own mental blocks and belief systems and projections and their own limiting whatever, they aren't able to love you the way that you need and deserve to be loved. And sometimes it comes across very toxic and negative, and you have to be willing to recognize it and sever it if need be, so that you can evolve. If you can do both simultaneously, kudos to you. But sometimes it is very hard to free yourself and still have one foot in the mud at the same time. It's a different mindset. You're either going to allow yourself to be mistreated and not love yourself to the full extent because you're allowing mistreatment. You're choosing to love others more than you're choosing to love yourself, and you're putting up a facade to make things around you smoother, easier, but then you're retreating and crying yourself to sleep, or wondering how you even, and I don't want to do that no more. This is my life. I'm entitled to living the best, most happiest version of it. And if you're not going to be conducive to helping that happen, then that just shows me and tells me that you are not meant to be along for the ride.
Absolutely. So you said two things. First, you processed what was happening. A lot of people would go right back into work and just try to push it away and suppress it. And that just creates literally a Pandora's box. And one little thing could trigger you, and that Pandora's box bursts. And so either you're getting into some sort of fight, maybe you're getting into a car accident or something like that. You're just not processing the trauma or the experience that you just went through. And so it creates that box. Process the things that you're going through. That is the hugest thing. And then you also said you noticed that I'm rewording a little bit, but in my mind, I'm like you said, I know I'm a good person and I know that I'm creating happiness and I want positivity around me. But when I'm around this person, it's a little bit different. They're creating some kind of different energy that I'm not liking anymore. And even though it
Right.
might be my partner, it's I don't want to deal with this type of energy no more because I know I'm not going to go any further in my life if I keep this around me. Right? That's exactly what happened with me and my freaking ex-boyfriend. It was like I was tired of babysitting. I was tired of hearing the same negative ass story every single day. At one point, I was like, so why don't you tell your boss you need to change something? Why is it every single day it's the same story over and on? I literally had to say, I'm tired of hearing the same story over and over again. What is that going to do? It's not going to do nothing, but you still have chaos at your job. Like it was like little things that was like,
Right.
I just don't want to be around this energy anymore. And so I have to choose me and
Right.
go no matter how hard it might be. But I know that I'm going to cultivate that positivity. I'm going to make sure that I'm keeping the loving energy around myself, my child, all of that good stuff. And if you're the weakest link, then you got to go. You got to go.
Unfortunately, yeah. If I
One
can't
thing
thrive over here.
Another thing too that you said was that reminded me was you remember PSI Institute, the
Yeah.
self-improvement. One thing that I learned there whenever I went was the gentleman said they're gonna have three types of people in your life. The people that you accept, like they're bullshit, basically, you accept it, you reject it, or you tolerate it. So if you're gonna have people around you, you're either gonna accept, reject, or tolerate how they're treating you, how they're acting. And the third one, the tolerating, is gonna kill you if you're tolerating somebody's bull dookie, then
Mhm.
it's just going to kill you and bring you down into the gutter. So don't tolerate it. It's either you accept it or you reject it and you figure it out after that. So
You reject it and you bust the move.
you bust.
Like you can't reject it and just keep dwelling and complaining like your ex, because now you're driving everybody crazy. You're the one accepting it enough to tolerate it, and that's your choice. So if you're gonna sit in that and bask in that, then get comfortable in it. We don't want to hear about it. But yeah, it's either you are uncomfortable enough to reject it and say, you know what, I know I deserve better, so I'm gonna walk away, even if it means starting from scratch, or I'm gonna tolerate it and put the need that I have above what I know is actually good for my soul and my spirit, and try to, and that never works because it just, and you're miserable, you're depressed, you're not happy. Nobody wants to just get by tolerating shit. Like you deserve so much more than that.
That can also make you sick too. It's like that
Yeah.
there are emotions that are stuck in your body that's creating a dis-ease. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. Like on my tattoo, let go and let God. I can't pull up my sleeve right now, but
Let go and let God. Amen.
let's talk about the new Chelsea. Okay. I see a vibrant Chelsea online.
Oh,
Okay. I see a happy Chelsea always
yeah.
going to football games. Can we talk about the new Chelsea Guarriello, please?
See this one being cracking up. She's over here like, yeah, I'm ready. The new Chelsea. Oh my God, the new Chelsea is just evolving, exploring, trying to get out of. I've been very spoiled by the internet since I became an entrepreneur. I have always been an introvert and a homebody type of person, but starting an online business and brand online has completely spoiled me in the sense that I had everything I needed. I had my business, I had my family, and I had my house. We would just make money all day. We didn't have to venture out of our humble little curated environment. And so now I have to accept, girl, you got to get outside. You got to meet people. You got to mingle. You got to put yourself out there more. So that's something I'm really trying to embrace more. And so, yeah, I'm meeting people, I'm dating, I'm having fun, I'm exploring, I'm traveling, I'm doing all of the things that I know one day I'll be proud that I didn't let this hinder me or stop me from doing. Navigating being a single mom, it was very challenging because I'm like, damn, should I even be concerned about dating? Should I even have a desire to meet anybody new? Like my kids are so small, maybe I should just dedicate the 10 years to just getting them through childhood. And you go back and forth with that, and you're just like, oh my God, what is the right thing? Like the old school version, seeing my mom do it and never seeing my mom even with a man for years and years because she was a single mom. And I just respected her so much for never letting me even know about another man or see another man. And I'm just like, oh my God, how can I, like, what does this look like for me? I don't have family over here. I don't have support. So how am I going to date and meet people? How am I going to make friends? How is this even a thing? So, just really learning what all of this looks like and just embracing the journey, learning to just be more in tune with what Chelsea needs and what Chelsea likes and what Chelsea enjoys versus just me as an entity of another person or in conjunction with a whole nother person that I'm always putting either before myself or equating to the same as myself. Now it's me. I'm the leader and it's my kids and my kids are my offspring. They're going to do whatever mama bear. Like I'm the boss. I'm the leader now. Like I structure this. How the stories that my kids will be telling one day are going to be because of what I allowed or didn't allow. And it's, oh my God, that's a huge burden and responsibility. And it makes me really want to do right by it. So I just want to be the best mom as always. I don't think that will ever change. But just embracing this and giving myself the grace of everything that comes with it. I'm a work in progress, not perfect, but definitely a respect above all for moms in my situation who want more for their families and who are determined to still give themselves and their kids the best of the best despite whatever lemons come their way. We're not just going to lay down and let life do us in. We're going to still stand up and be like, no, this is what I deserve. And if I have to create it alone, God will help me do, and I'll pick up the bricks and lay them brick by brick all over again if I have to. But I'm not going to let someone destroy or hinder me from getting to where I know God wants me to be because they're not ready or because they don't see or appreciate the vision. When you know that God has put something special in you, that's your responsibility and that's your thing with God as your own individual. You're here to create something and be somebody. And if anything or anybody in your life is dimming that light, that's not good. So that's what keeps me going every day is that my light is brighter. My light is bigger than what I was almost willing to settle for long term, permanently through marriage. And I'm very grateful that God redirected me. And I know that this is, even though it's a painful journey, at some points it's also a very beautiful one and it's an evolving one and one that I pray gets me closer and closer to the person that God wants me to be. So
There's going to be a day where you're like, I had to go through that to get to where I am right now. And I'm
yeah,
ridiculously grateful. Like, you're going to be even more grateful whenever the day comes that you're like, you realize why you went through what you went through.
I believe that. And I can't wait for sure. Because I wholeheartedly know that there was no way I could have severed it. I did everything I could do to make life as perfect and good as possible. But I definitely know that with the weight of what I was dealing with and the resistance, I would not be able to tolerate it. I tried to tolerate it and it was eating me up. And so I do feel a layer of like ease, even though I've stepped into a whole new layer of discomfort. I know that this is temporary because I will learn to adjust to this, but I can't learn to adjust to things that don't mean me well or don't aren't conducive to where I'm trying to go. So I've taken a few steps backwards. They're painful, they're more challenging, they're more burdensome, but once I get through this, I know I'll be catapulted forward and those who are remaining with me will be able to bask in what that next version looks like because they actually helped me get there. They didn't resist me and they're not there because I dragged them to be there.
Yeah, I understand that completely.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to say.
I love when that happens. That happens to me 500 times a day.
There was something, I don't remember what it was. Oh, what can people expect to come for Chelsea?
That's a good question. To be honest, I'm I'm rebuilding. So I just want to show you can consistently bet on me showing up for myself. That looks different every single day. What's to come is just hopefully more happiness, more me being able to show up authentically. Business is evolving. I want to continue to refine and get better and figure out how I can be more and more in tune with my audience. I do want to start doing more in-person things and stuff like that, which I know is for me very gradual because I'm just not typically that type of person. But because now I want to connect more. I just have to, that's a slow process for me. But yeah, I want to stop. I have so one thing about me is I hold myself to very high expectations, always very high standards, always. And so I'm like I said, I'm learning to give myself grace and realize that success isn't always it isn't always a financial thing. Success if make millions and millions of dollars but are breaking inside and broken inside and depressed and miserable, you're not successful. You might have wealth, you might have money, but you didn't master the assignment. You got to the top, but you're weathering away by the second, and your soul is broken and your heart is broken. And I don't want to be that person. So what I can guarantee you will always get from me is the best of me. And if I'm there to give it, you will receive it. And if I'm not there to give it, you won't see me that day. I'm in my real authentic era. And I'm grateful that I was consistent long enough when I had the ability to be, so that I can take the time I need when I just need a mental health day or when I just don't have it in me to give. I can rely on the things I have in place, like my systems or my team or whatever, instead of feeling guilty for not being able to go live for a week. I can just be like, you know what? Yeah, I didn't produce 300% this week because I couldn't do my role and the team's role. This week, I just fell back on letting the team do what they're paid to do. And I'm going to take a freaking mental health week and just, yeah, maybe we're not making 3,000 a day, maybe it's just 1,000 a day. And yeah, that pay cut does hurt, but I'd rather be able to sleep at night and not be crying all day and not look tired and feel tired. My goals are just different. My priorities are different right this second. Um, I want to make sure that as I continue to bounce back, that I'm showing up and building something that I can remain truthful and authentic to myself, not just going through the motions because I have bills to pay and things that have to be done. I want to make sure that I'm still putting myself first and building something that is in real time what I need to also heal and push forward and feel happy about showing up for every single day. So I'm still trying to figure out at what that actually looks like for me. Um and yeah, I still pray every day that God continue to reveal how I can best be of service to other women in my shoes or in my communities. I don't feel as if I've reached my peak by creating digital courses. I do feel like my calling is more of a tangible thing. Digital courses is amazing, but I do feel like there is another level. I went from physical products and drop shipping behind the scenes, not showing my face, to okay, I'm a little bit more confident. I'll pop out a little bit. I'll create an ebook. I'll create a course. I'll help people over the phone. And that's been amazing, life changing. But now what's next? What if instead of helping people over the phone, what if I'm at a workshop in person in a classroom? What if maybe I'm supposed to be a teacher? Maybe I'm supposed to be on stages in front of high school students. I don't know, but I know that whatever comes next will remain to be authentically where I am and what I'm able to show up as in that point in time. And I'm looking forward to revealing what that could be for sure.
I'm a happy woman right now.
Mm,
You,
love you.
I've been praying for you since I met you.
You have. I remember this. That's crazy.
And
You,
one
oh,
thing that you just said was life is way more important than just money.
yeah.
One of the things that was your driving force has always been money. And in my heart, I was really praying. I pray that she finds a deeper meaning to why she's here. And you're on the track. Like you're on the track of what's to come. I like already see it. There's more bigger, better, greater things coming your way because of the healing that you're doing for yourself and you're taking your time. You're not rushing into it because you know yourself. So knowing yourself that you can pace it, that certain things aren't really your thing, but if you gradually put yourself into it, it's just going to get easier and better. And I know that there's so much greatness on the other side of this for you. And I'm just so thankful that you made it over the hump of, you know what? Life is so much more deeper than just having a fat ass bank account.
It is
Now
true.
you got the foundation now, but now it's really living your true purpose and serving
Yeah,
even more than what you have done in these last few years. So I'm so
yeah.
excited to see the
Thank
next chapter.
you.
I'm
Oh,
so happy you got here. Yes, it was hard. Yes, it's painful, especially getting rid of your baby daddy. I saw you a couple times trying not to say baby daddy. It's a baby daddy.
I'm like, what do I do? I don't even
I
know
know.
the terms. It's crazy.
I
It's
actually I
like
tried.
my ex,
I
but my
stopped
ex is not
myself.
just an ex. He's like my baby daddy, you
Daddy.
know? It's like,
I
is he
tried to, I say my
ex-fiance?
son's father. I try to get proper and be like my son.
Right.
But it's just so much easier to come off your tongue with baby daddy kind of thing. But I know it was difficult. I know it was hard, but I just know it's going to be so much worth it in the end. And I'm just so happy and proud that you made it to this side and just keep on trekking, man. Keep on doing what you're doing and keep on being connected with God because it's just more greatness is coming your way. I already see it. I already know it. And I'm grateful to be a part of the journey and be able to be here with you. Like we literally going through the same kind of sort of thing with breaking up with someone that you thought you were going to be invest everything into and try to save, but finally chose ourselves first. So continue to love on you, girl, because nothing but
Right.
greatness and more love. People are gonna love on you even harder than you're loving them
That's
before.
what I was just about to say. It's like when you finally, I've been seeing the meme all week, but it's so true. Like the day that you finally put yourself first and are real and acknowledge what you need to be happy and what you deserve to be happy. Like when you finally put it out there, you know what? I am okay choosing me. I'm going to pick me first. Like the whole universe will transpire to work in your favor and you'll just start to see other things start to choose you too. And it becomes a very beautiful reality when you can just stand on business about yourself and realize like we're maybe not the creator of our lives, but we are definitely the architect of it. And we can customize it, we can change it, we can knock that wall down, build it back up, put it up and put another one up. Like we can literally customize it however we want. And if you're unhappy, you just have customized it. You have to take ownership and accountability that you did customize it to be that. Nobody put you in that house. Nobody put you with that man. Nobody put you with that job. You applied, you customized and asked God for it, and you showed up and you took it and accepted it and tolerated it. So now, if you are unhappy, you simply go back to the drawing board and write it out. And sometimes you got to write where you're at right now, like I did, to see it. Ew, that is ugly. That's an ugly story. And once you write it and hear it and read it, you're like, oh no, we need to change that narrative. We're going to turn the page real quick and we're going to write something else out. And I'm going to write it over and over until I like what it sounds like. And now I'm going to start showing up as that. And so that's my reality. Once you realize you have that type of capability and that power, why would you ever write another narrative that you don't want to live up to? You start to rewrite your story. You start to show up differently, more confident because anything you envision for yourself, you can make a reality. That's where we're at now. And I'm so proud of you too, babe. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Keep rewriting your story because greatness is on the other side, girl. Um,
Amen. Keep providing a safe space for us. We appreciate you and all you do. Thank you so much for creating this space. It's always so great to catch up with you, and it's always a healing experience for sure to just confront how far you've come. It's rare that you think so far back until you're prompted to or you're asked certain questions, and having those reflection moments and staying connected to people who remember you before you had it all figured out and before you had all the answers is such a humbling, grounding thing. And I love it. I love it so much. Just remembering it forces you to really remember how things all started and all the growth that went into making you who you are. So definitely appreciate moments like this. Thank you for having me.
welcome. Last question is
Yes, ma'am.
what is your safe space?
Oh my gosh, my safe space. My safe space, I want to, like, my quickest answer is my kids. They bring me comfort, they bring me peace. That is where I know I can't fail. That's where I truly do feel most loved, most whatever. But safest, I can't say that's the safest place because I have such a huge responsibility for them that it brings the opposite of safe feelings because it feels so fragile and so something that I need to protect so much. So I think where I feel safest is amongst people who truly see me. Because when you go through your times, your darkest moments, it's the people that see you for who you are, not for what's on the outside, not for your accomplishments, not for the money, not for all of the glitz and the glamour, but the ones that can remind you of the inner beast in you or that the amazing spark and bright light that you have to offer. And when someone can really speak life into you when you're at your lowest points, those are the people that I feel the most safe around. It's just, wow, you love me in my most fragile state. You see something in me when I am deteriorating and falling apart at the seams. You're here with no expectation. You're here literally reminding me that I'm that bitch. That's who I feel the most safe around. And I'm so blessed to have people in my life that truly see me for who I am and remind me like you're a superwoman. Yeah, you lost this, that, but don't forget that you did this, that, and that, wow, that, and da da da. I got some real people around me that will remind me about things. I'd be like, really, I did, I forget. And it's such a great feeling to have those. And it's not always the day one. Sometimes it's someone who you meet on Instagram who's, I've been following you for 6 months and some of the posts that you put up literally just make my day and and it could be like a new relationship or a friendship. It could be someone you know in person or you don't, but just having people that speak life into you and recognize you and are willing to put their ego and pride aside to actually let you know what you mean to them, those are people that I feel the most like sacred type of relationships with. That's I value those people so much. And I definitely feel the safest with people like that for sure. Because I know they got me like no matter what. They're not just here for the clout or the social media or the greatness that comes with having things going your way. Like they're here riding, rocking and rolling, no matter if you're at your lowest points. And that's yeah, that those are my people for sure.
Love that so much. Thank you so much. Please let everybody know where they can find you, where they can reach you.
Yes. You guys, make sure you follow me on social media platforms. Learn with Chelsea is my handle pretty much everywhere. And I would love to tap in and connect with you guys if you're interested in learning about online income streams. That's my jam. I love talking about it and empowering women to become financially savvy and financially free through the programs that we've created to help women just like me, Coach Stacy, and everybody else who just believes in growth and development and positivity and all of the good things. We just want to blossom and become the very best, most richest versions of ourselves. And if that's you, then yeah, shoot me a message. I would love to connect with you. You can DM me, let me know that you came from this podcast, and I'll definitely be able to point you in the right direction and offer you some help and resources. Anything I can do to help, I'm always here, always happy to be a resource. And so, yes, that's that. Learn with Chelsea.
Please connect with Learn with Chelsea, especially if you're looking to make some money online passively. She is the money magnet. She's the money queen. She has helped me profoundly in my life get my business together. And we're both going through a rebirth, and I'm so excited for this new birth that's coming out. We're going to have to come together at some point.
Oh yeah, we are. We got some
You know,
things in the works and I'm very excited for it for sure. I'm so happy to know that you want to be a part of it so we could really create something magical. I think they're gonna love it. And I think that you should include the memoir link. I can send it to you just because we talked about it so much. If anybody cares to see some of the life experiences, you think when life is happening to you, it's happening to you. And you don't realize a decade later, you may realize, wow, that happened for me. That brought me closer to my wealth or happiness or husband or wife or whatever. You don't realize it all builds up into your beautiful story. And so I think you guys would really appreciate hearing my memoir of some of the darkest moments of my life that actually directly connected me with some of the brightest moments of my life. And just seeing that connection and how it played out, I think will give you a lot of hope into knowing that no matter where you're at right now, what struggles you're facing, whatever's going on, you just never know. The silver lining in that journey can definitely be on it, taking you to a extreme that you didn't even know existed in the most beautiful, positive way. We'll share the link to that. I think you guys would love it.
Definitely check out that memoir. I'm telling you, like at the end of it was just like, if she can make it through that, I can make it through what I'm going through. Period.
Amen.
I think that's what the voice message that I sent you to. I was like, period.
Yes, I know, right? You just be feeling like, bring it. And then
Right.
you're like, hold on, God, just kidding, just kidding. Don't bring it too crazy. Now
Under,
that we know what could happen,
I love to
let's
say
not
it
think like
under
that.
grace in a perfect way. If you're gonna bring me something, you better bring it under grace in a perfect way because I'm tired of fighting and
Wrapped in a
struggling. And
pretty pink ribbon.
that's right. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for being here. I appreciate you for supporting and always contributing to whatever I got going on. You
Always.
are a real one. You are so precious to me, and I love you so much. Thank you
Love
for
you
being
so
here.
much too, babe. Thank you for all your love and support as well. I will talk to you soon. Bye, babe.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Safe Space with Stacy. I pray you're leaving today feeling empowered, inspired, and ready to continue your journey of healing and connection. If this episode resonates with you, please subscribe, share it with the women in your life who could benefit, and leave a 5-star review. Your voice matters, and it helps us build a community of support and love. Remember, healing happens when you lean in to help, share your story, and create safe spaces for healing. Together, we can thrive. Until next time, I'm sending you healing energy with lots of love, light, and sisterhood.